Shalom, shalom. Today we're going to do Leviticus 11 through 15. If you've ever wondered what food is, we're about to find out. I gotta sneeze. Alright. Leviticus chapter 11. Okay. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying to them, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the living creatures which you do eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatever has a split hoof, completely divided, chewing the cud, among the beasts that you do eat. Only these you do not eat among those that chew the cud, or those that have a split hoof. The camel, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the rabbit, because it chews the cud but it does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud but it does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you. And the pig, though it has a split hoof, completely divided, yet it does not chew the cud, it is unclean to you. Their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you do not touch. They are unclean to you. These you do not eat of all that are in the waters. Anyone that has fins and scales in the waters, in the seas or in the rivers, that you do eat. But all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, and that move in the waters, or any living being which is in the waters, they are an abomination to you. They are an abomination to you. Of their flesh you do not eat, and their carcasses you abominate. All that have not fins or scales in the waters are an abomination to you. And these you do abominate among the birds. They are not eaten, they are an abomination: the eagle, and the vulture, and the black vulture, and the hawk, and the falcon after its kind, every raven after its kind, and the ostrich, and the night hawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after its kind, and the little owl, and the fisher owl, and the great owl, and the white owl, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the stork, and the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe, and the bat. All flying insects that creep on all fours is an abomination to you. Only these you do eat of every flying insect that creeps on all fours. Those which have jointed legs above their feet, to those which have jointed legs above their feet, with which to leap on the earth. These of them you do eat: the arba locust after its kind, and the solemn locust after its kind, and the hargal locust after its kind, and the hagav locust after its kind. But all other flying insects which have 4 feet are an abomination to you. And by these you are made unclean. Anyone touching the carcass of any of them is unclean until evening. If anyone picking up any part of the carcass of any of them has to wash his garment, and anyone picking up part of the carcass of any of them has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening. Every beast that has a split hoof, not completely divided, or does not chew the cud, is unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcasses is unclean. And whatever goes on its paws, among all the creatures that go on all fours, those are unclean to you. Anyone who touches their carcass is unclean until evening. And he who picks up their carcass has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening. They are all unclean to you. And these are the unclean to you among the creeping creatures that creep on the earth: the mole, and the mouse, and the tortoise after its kind, and the gecko, and the land crocodile, and the sand reptile, and the sand lizard, and the chameleon. These are unclean to you among all that creep. Anyone who touches them when they are dead becomes unclean until evening. And whatever any of them in its dead, and whatever any of them in its dead state falls upon becomes unclean, whether it is any wooden object, or garment, or skin, or sack, any object in which work is done, it is put in water, and it shall be unclean until evening, and it shall be clean. An earthen vessel into which any of them falls, whatever is in it becomes unclean, and you break it. Any of the food which might be eaten on which water comes becomes unclean, or any drink which might be drunk from it becomes unclean. And on whatever any of their carcasses falls becomes unclean. An oven or cooking range, it is broken down. They are unclean, and they are unclean to you. Oop, there's a kitty cat. Yeah, we are. 35. Now, whenever any of their carcass falls, becomes unclean. An oven or cooking range, it is broken down. They are unclean, and are unclean to you. But a fountain or well, a collection of water, is clean. But whatever touches their carcass is unclean. And when any of their carcass falls on any planting seed which is to be sown, it is clean. But when any water is put on the seed, and any part of any such carcass falls on it, it is unclean to you. And when any of the beasts which are yours for food dies, he who touches its carcass becomes unclean until evening. And he who eats of its carcass has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening. And he who picks up its carcass has to wash his garments, and shall be unclean until evening. And every swarming creature, the one that swarms on the earth, is an abomination. It is not eaten. Whatever crawls on its stomach, and whatever goes on all fours, and whatever has many feet, among all swarming creatures, the ones swarming on the earth, these you do not eat, for they are an abomination. Do not make yourselves abominable with any swarming creature. Do not make yourself abominable with any swarming creature, the ones swarming, and do not make yourself unclean with them, lest you be defiled by them. For I am Yahuwah your Elohim, and you shall set yourselves apart, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. And do not defile yourselves with any swarming creature, the one creeping on the earth, for I am Yahuwah, who is bringing you up out of the land of Mitzrayim to be your Elohim, and you shall be set apart, for I am set apart. This is the Torah of the beast and the birds and every living being, the creeping creature in the waters, and of every being that swarms on the earth, to make a distinction between the unclean and the clean, and between the living creature that is eaten and the living creature that is not eaten. What is and isn't food. Also, we can make a call back to Genesis here, where Noah is instructed to take two of all the unclean, like two pairs of the unclean and 7 pairs of the clean, because they're going to eat the clean animals. Anyway, 12. And Yahweh, so actually, let me just go ahead and write this real quick. Pretty sure it's Genesis 6, but we'll just write Noah as a little reminder. Leviticus chapter 12. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, When a woman has conceived and has given birth to a male, then she shall be unclean 7 days, as in the days of her monthly separation she is unclean. And on the 8th day of the flesh of his foreskin is circumcised. And on the 8th day the flesh of his foreskin is circumcised. And she remains in the blood of her cleansing 33 days. She does not touch whatever is set apart, and she does not come into the set apart place until the days of her cleansing are completed. But if she gives birth to a female child, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as in her monthly separation, and she remains in the blood of her cleansing for 66 days. And when the days of her cleansing are completed, for a son or for a daughter, she brings to the priest a lamb a year old as an ascending offering, and a young pigeon or turtle dove as a sin offering to the door of the tent of appointment. And she shall bring it before Yahuwah, and make atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the flow of her blood. This is the Torah for her who has given birth to a male or a female. And if she is not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, one as an ascending, and the other as a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, when a man has on the skin of his body a swelling, a scab, or a bright spot, and it shall become on the skin of his body like a leprous infection, then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons the priest, and the priest shall look at the infection on the skin of the body, and if the hair on the infection has turned white, and the infection appears to be deeper than the skin of his body, it is a leprous infection, and the priest shall look at him and pronounce him unclean. But if the bright spot is white on the skin of his body, and does not appear to be deeper than the skin, and its hair has not turned white, then the priest shall put up the infection. Then the priest shall shut up the infected one 7 days, and the priest shall look at him on the 7th day, and see if the infection appears to be as it was, and the infection has not spread on the skin. Then the priest shall shut him up another 7 days, and the priest shall look at him again on the 7th day, and see if the infection has darkened, and the infection has not spread on the skin. Then the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is a scab, and he shall wash his garments and be clean. But if the scab spreads further over the skin, after he has been seen by the priest for the cleansing, he shall be seen by the priest again. And the priest shall look and see if the scab has spread on the skin, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is leprosy. When the infection of leprosy is on the man, then he shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall look and see if the swelling of the skin is white, it has turned the hair white, and there is a spot of raw flesh in the swelling. It is an old leprosy on the skin of his body, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. He does not shut him up, for he is unclean. And if leprosy breaks out all over the skin, and the leprosy shall cover all the skin of the infected one, from his head to his foot, wherever the priest looks, then the priest shall look and see. And if the leprosy has covered all his body, he shall pronounce the infected one clean. It is all turned white. He is clean. But the day raw flesh appears on him, he is unclean. And the priest shall look at the raw flesh, and pronounce him to be unclean. And the raw flesh is unclean. It is leprosy. Or when the raw flesh changes and turns white again, he shall come to the priest, and the priest shall look at him and see if the infection and the priest shall look at him and see if the infection has turned white. Then the priest shall pronounce the infected one clean. He is clean. And when the body has a boil in the skin, and it is healed, and in the place of the boil there comes a white swelling or a bright spot, reddish white, then it shall be seen by the priest. And the priest shall look and see. If it appears deeper than the skin, and its hair has turned white, the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprous infection which has broken out of the boil. If the priest looks at it and sees no white hairs in it, and it is not deeper than the skin, but has faded, then the priest shall shut him up for 7 days. And if it has spread further over the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprous infection. But if the bright spot stays in its place, it has not spread, it is the scar of the boil, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. And the priest shall pronounce him clean. Or when the body receives a burn on its skin by fire, and the raw flesh and the burn shall become a bright spot, reddish white or white, then the priest shall look at it and see if the hair of the bright spot has turned white, and it appears deeper than the skin. It is leprous broken out in the burn, and the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprous infection. But if the priest looks at it and sees there are no white hairs in the bright spot, and it is not deeper than the skin, but has faded, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And the priest shall look at him on the 7th day. If it spreads further over the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a leprous infection. But if the bright spot stays in its place and has not spread over the skin, but has faded, it is a swelling from the burn, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is the scar from the burn. And when a man or woman has an infection on the head or in the beard, then the priest shall look at the infection and see if it appears deeper than the skin, and there is thin yellow hair in it. Then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is an eruption, a leprosy of the head or beard. But when the priest looks at the infection of the eruption and sees that it does not appear deeper than the skin, and there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up, the one with infection of the eruption, 7 days. And on the seventh day the priest shall look at the infection and see if the eruption has not spread, and there is no yellow hair in it, and the eruption does not spread deeper than the skin. Then he shall shave himself, but the eruption he does not shave, and the priest shall shut up the one with the eruption another 7 days. And on the seventh day the priest shall look at the eruption and see if the eruption has not spread over the skin, and it does not appear deeper than the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean, and he shall wash his garments, and he shall be clean. But if the eruption spreads further over the skin after his cleansing, then the priest shall look at him and see if the eruption has spread over the skin. The priest need not seek for yellow hair; he is unclean. But if the eruption appears to have stayed, and there is black hair growing up in it, the eruption is healed, he is clean, and the priest shall pronounce him clean. And when a man or woman has bright spots on the skin of the body, white bright spots, then the priest shall look and see if the bright spots on the skin of the body are dull white. It is a white spot that grows on the skin. He is clean. And when a man loses the hair of his head, he is bald. He is clean. And if the hair has fallen from his head, he is bald on the forehead, he is clean. And when there is on the bald head or bald forehead a reddish white infection, it is leprosy, breaking out on his bald head or his bald forehead. And the priest shall look at it and see if the swelling of the infection is reddish white on his bald head or on his bald forehead, and the appearance of leprosy on the skin of the body. He is a leprous man, he is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him unclean. Without fail, his infection is on his head. As for the leper who has the infection, his garments are torn, and his head is uncovered, and he has to cover his upper lip and cry, "Unclean! Unclean!" He is unclean. All the days he has the infection, he is unclean. He is unclean, and he dwells alone. His dwelling place is outside the camp. And when a garment has an infection of leprosy in it, in a woolen garment, or in a linen garment, or in the warp, or in the weft of linen or wool, or in the leather, or in any leather work, or in the infection shall be yellowish, green, or reddish in the garment, or in the leather, or in the warp, or in the weft, or in any leather object, is an infection. It is an infection of leprosy, and shall be shown to the priest. And the priest shall look at the infection and shut up the infected 7 days. And he shall look at the infection on the seventh day, and when the infection has spread, in the garment, or in the warp, or in the weft, or in the leather, or in any leather work, and the infection is an act of leprosy. It is unclean. And he shall burn the garment, or the warp, or the weft, in wool, or in linen, in any leather object in which the infection is, for it is an act of leprosy. It is burned with fire. But if the priest looks and sees that the infection has not spread in the garment, or in the warp, or in the weft, or in any leather object, then the priest shall give command, and they shall wash that in which the infection is, and he shall shut it up another 7 days. And the priest shall look at the infection after. Sorry, I'm looking at this to make sure it looks right. It does. And the priest shall look at the infection after it has been washed, and see if the infection has not changed its appearance, though the infection has not spread, it is unclean, and burn it with fire. Burn it in the fire. It is eaten away. It is inside or outside. And it's inside or outside. And if the priest shall look and see that the infection has faded, or after washing it, and then he shall tear it out of the garment, or out of the warp, or out of the weft, or out of the leather. And if it is still seen in the garment, or in the weft, or in the or in the warp, or in the weft, or in any leather object, it is spreading infection. Burn it with fire, that in which the infection is. And if you wash the garment, or the warp, or the weft, or any leather object, if the infection has disappeared from it, then it shall be washed a second time, and shall be clean. This is the Torah of the infection of leprosy in the garment of wool or linen, or in the warp, or in the weft, or in any leather object, to pronounce it clean or to pronounce it unclean. That was a big one. I think this one's a pretty big one too. It's all right though. We're gonna read it all. Chapter 14. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, This shall be the Torah of all the leper for the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall look and see. If the leprosy is healed in the leper, then the priest shall command, and he shall take for him who is to be cleansed two live and clean birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And the priest shall command, and he shall slay one of the birds in the earthen vessel over running water. Let him take the live bird, and the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and dip them and the live bird in the blood, and the bird that was slain over the running water. And he shall sprinkle it 7 times on him who is to be cleansed from the leprosy, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the live bird loose in the open field. And he who is to be cleansed shall wash his garment, and shall shave off all his hair, and wash himself in water, and shall be clean. Then after that he comes into the camp, but shall stay outside his tent 7 days. And on the 7th day it shall be that he shaves all the hair of his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows, and even all his hair he shaves it off. And he shall wash his garments, and wash his body in water, and he shall be clean. And on the 8th day he takes 2 male lambs, perfect ones, and 1 ewe lamb, a year old, a perfect one, and 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. And the priest who is cleansing shall present the man who is to be cleansed with these offerings before Yahweh at the door of the tent of appointment. And the priest shall take 1 male lamb, and bring it as a guilt offering, and the log of oil, and wave them as a wave offering before Yahweh. And he shall slay the lamb in the place where he slays the sin offering and the ascending offering in a set apart place. For the guilt offering, like the sin offering, belongs to the priest. It is most set apart. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering, and the priest shall put it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil, and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. And the priest shall dip his right finger into the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle some of the oil with his finger 7 times before Yahweh. And on the rest of the oil in his hand the priest shall put, and of the rest of the oil in his hand the priest puts some on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, on the big toe, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the blood of the guilt offering. Goodness, some of these are rough. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hands he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed, and the priest shall make atonement for him before Yahweh. And the priest shall make the sin offering, and make atonement for him who is to be cleansed from his uncleanness. Then afterward he slays the ascending offering, and the priest shall offer the ascending offering and the grain offering on the slaughter place, and the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. But if he is poor and is unable to afford it, then he shall take 1 male lamb as a guilt offering to be waved, to make atonement for him, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with the oil as a grain offering, and a log of oil. And 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to afford, and 1 shall be a sin offering, and the other a sinning offering. And he shall bring them to the priest on the 8th day for his cleansing to the door of the tent of appointment before Yahweh. And the priest shall take the lamb of the guilt offering and the log of oil and the priest shall wave them as a wave offering before Yahweh. And he shall slay the lamb of the guilt offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the guilt offering and put it on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. Then the priest pours some of the oil into the palm of his own left hand, and the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some of the oil that is in his left hand 7 times before Yahweh. And the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand on the tip of the right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, in the place of the blood of the guilt offering. On the place of the blood of the guilt offering. And the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hands he puts on the head of him who is to be cleansed, to make atonement for him before Yahweh. And he shall prepare one of the turtle doves or young pigeons, such as he is able to afford. That which he is able to afford, the one is a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering, with the grain offering, and the priest shall make atonement for him who is to be cleansed before Yahweh. This is the Torah for one who had an infection of leprosy, who is unable to afford for his cleansing. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, When you come into the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as a possession, and I put a plague of leprosy in a house in the land of your possession, then shall the one who owns the house come and inform the priest, saying, It seems to me that there is some plague in the house. And the priest shall command, and they shall empty the house before the priest goes in to look at the plague, so that all that is in the house is not made unclean. And after that the priest goes in to look at the house. And he shall look at the plague, and see if the plague is on the walls of all of the house, with sunken places, yellowish, green, or reddish, which appear to be deep in the wall. Then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house, and shut up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the 7th day, and look and see if the plague has spread on the walls of the house. Then the priest shall command, and they shall remove the stones with the plague in them, and they shall throw them outside the city into an unclean place. While he lets the house he scraped inside all around, and the dust that while he lets the house be scraped inside all around, and the dust that they scrape off they shall pour out in an unclean place outside the city. And they shall take other stones and put them in places of those stones, and take other mortar and plaster the house. And if the plague comes back and breaks out in the house, after he has removed the stones, after he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look and see if the plague has spread in the house. It is an act of leprosy in the house. It is unclean. And he shall break down the house, its stones, and its timber, and all the plaster of the house, and he shall bring them outside the city to an unclean place. And he who goes into the house all the days while it is shut up becomes unclean until evening. And he who lies down in the house has to wash his garments, and he who eats in the house has to wash his garments. However, if the priest indeed comes in and looks at it, and sees that the plague has not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And to cleanse the house he shall take 2 birds, and cedar wood, and scarlet, and hyssop. And he shall slay one of the birds in an earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood, and the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the live bird, and dip them in the wood, and the slain bird, and the running water, and shall sprinkle the house 7 times. He shall thus cleanse the house with the blood of the bird and the running water, and the live bird, with the cedar wood, with the hyssop and the scarlet. And he shall let the live bird loose outside the city in the open field, and shall make atonement with the house, and it shall be clean. This is the Torah for any infection of leprosy and eruption, and for leprosy of a garment, and for of a house, and for a swelling, and for a scab, and for a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the Torah of leprosy. Chapter 15. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When any man has a discharge from his flesh, his discharge is unclean. And this is his uncleanness in regard to his discharge, whether his flesh runs with his discharge or his flesh is stopped up by his discharge. It is his uncleanness. Any bed becomes unclean on which he has the discharge lies. Any object on which he sits becomes unclean, and anyone who touches his bed has to wash his garments, and he shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And he who sits on any object on which he who has the discharge sat has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And he who touches the flesh of him who has the discharge has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and shall be unclean until evening. And when he who has the discharge spits on him who is clean, then he shall wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. Any saddle on which he who has the discharge rides becomes unclean. And whoever touches any of that which was under him is unclean until evening. He who is carrying them up has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And anyone whom he has the discharge touches without rinsing his hands in water shall wash his garments, and bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And the earthen vessel which he who has the discharge touches has to be broken, and every wooden vessel has to be rinsed in water. And when he who has the discharge is cleansed of his discharge, then he shall count for himself 7 days for his cleansing, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe his flesh in running water, and be cleansed, and be clean. And on the 8th day he takes for himself 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and shall come before Yahweh to the door of the tent of appointment, and shall give them to the priest. And the priest shall prepare them, the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering, and the priest shall make atonement for them before Yahweh because of his discharge. And when a man has an emission of semen, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until evening. And any garment and any leather or which there is semen shall also be washed in water, and be unclean until evening. And when a woman lies with a man, and there is an emission of semen, they both shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And when a woman has a discharge, and the discharge from her flesh is blood, she has to be in her separation for 7 days. And whoever touches her is unclean until evening. And whatever she lies on during her separation is unclean, and whatever she sits on is unclean. And anyone who touches her bed has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And whoever touches any object that she sat on has to wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. And if it is on the bed or on any object on which she sits, when he touches it, he is unclean until evening. And if a man lies with her at all, and her monthly flow is on him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And any bed he lies on is unclean. And when a woman has a discharge of blood for many days, other than at the time of her monthly separation, or when she discharges beyond her usual time of monthly separation, all the days of her unclean discharge shall be as the days of her monthly separation. She is unclean. Any bed on which she lies all the days of her discharge is to her as the bed of her monthly separation, and whatever she sits on is unclean, and the uncleanness of her monthly separation. And anyone who touches them is unclean, and shall wash his garments, and shall bathe in water, and be unclean until evening. But if she is cleansed of her discharge, and then she shall count for herself 7 days, and after that she is clean. And on the 8th day she takes for herself 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and shall bring them to the priest to the door of the tent of appointment. And the priest shall prepare the one as a sin offering, and the other as an ascending offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her before Yahweh for the discharge of her uncleanness. Thus you shall separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, lest they die in their uncleanness when they defile my dwelling place. Lest they die in their uncleanness when they defile my dwelling place, which is in their midst. This is the Torah for one who has a discharge, and for him who emits semen and is unclean thereby, and for and for her who is sick in her monthly separation, and for one who has a discharge, either a man or woman, and for him who lies with an unclean woman.